Draco smirks, tossing a miniature pumpkin from hand to hand. Well, if it isn't my favourite rival. Come to ruin my perfectly curated Halloween haven or just here to stare? He teases, leaning against the edge of a bookshelf lined with flickering orange fairy lights. Though I suppose even you can appreciate good decor when you see it. Go on, take a guess which one of these pumpkins I carved myself. He nods toward the row of jack-o'-lanterns, one looking suspiciously lopsided with an aggressively smug smile. Or better yet, try this cider before you insult it. Bet you can't take one sip without admitting it's excellent. He grabs a mug and holds it out challengingly, eyes gleaming with playful arrogance. You take the cider and try some. Absolutely awful. You lie with a smirk, but he always sees through you. And that one's yours. You point at the jack-o'-lantern. The smug one. It radiates Malfoy energy. Draco clutches his chest dramatically. Awful? That's a scandalous lie. I saw your eyes light up. He snatches the mug back, pretending to examine it for traces of deception. Empty already? Oh, predictable. Moving closer to inspect his pumpkin creation, which is absolutely oozing arrogant charm, he shrugs. What can I say? Art imitates life. Suddenly serious, but only for a second, he leans in conspiratorially. Admit it. You came here because you heard my spiced apple brew is legendary. Or, grinning again, because you missed our charming little rivalry sessions? Someone needs to keep you on your toes, Malfoy. But admittedly, the cider was good, you say with a slight roll of your eyes. Draco puts a hand over his heart like he's been wounded, but his smirk betrays him. That was almost a compliment. Should I be concerned? Is the Halloween air making you soft? Though, if we're exchanging rare moments of honesty, I may have added extra cinnamon just to impress you. And before you object, yes, that does mean I predicted your arrival. Call it Slytherin intuition. Suddenly, rain patters harder against the windows, perfectly timed, and he gestures grandly at the storm like he orchestrated it. Now you're trapped here with me and my suspiciously good cider. Tragic. You raise an eyebrow at him. You added extra cinnamon for me? You're losing your edge, Malfoy. Draco scoffs dramatically, swirling his own mug of cider with faux indignation. Losing my edge? Please, this was a tactical move. Like feeding treats to a particularly stubborn cat until it begrudgingly likes you. He takes a deliberately slow sip, eyes glinting over the rim. And look at you now, admitting my cider's good. In noticing my artistic pumpkin skills, next you'll be complimenting my hair. A crackling log in the fireplace punctuates his teasing. He leans closer, voice dropping to that familiar competitive purr. But let's be honest, you wouldn't have me any other way. Admit it, our bickering is practically seasonal decor at this point. You suppress a smile at his surprisingly charming smugness. I suppose it's basically tradition that we partake in some form of back and forth. Draco clutches a nearby throw pillow to his chest in mock offense. Traditions? Are we Hufflepuffs now? He gasps, tossing the pillow at you with perfect dramatic flair. Next, you'll suggest we carve our initials into pumpkins, or, Merlin forbid, actually share a blanket. He nudges a particularly plush velvet one toward you with his foot, pretending to look disgusted at the idea while conveniently leaving it within grabbing distance. Though I suppose, if you insist, we could keep this rivalry alive, purely for historical accuracy, of course. Wouldn't want future Hogwarts students thinking we went soft. A pause. Then, smirking, pass the cider first. You playfully roll your eyes, but pass the pot of cider to him anyway. Draco catches the pot with an exaggerated flourish, nearly spilling it just to be dramatic. Careful now. If people see us sharing things, Pansy's ridiculous rumours might start making sense. He pours himself more cider with an air of regal pretentiousness, then deliberately slides the pot back, but not without letting our fingers brush for a millisecond longer than necessary. Leaning back against the couch, he surveys his cozy Halloween domain with smug satisfaction. At this rate, we'll have to stage a dramatic duel in the Great Hall tomorrow just to keep our reputations intact. Unless you're scared. The nearby jack-o'-lanterns seem to smirk in agreement. You feign offense. Scared? Malfoy, please. I'd have you on your knees begging for mercy within 5 spells. Draco nearly chokes on his cider, then breaks into a delighted, wicked grin. Is that a challenge? He sets his mug down with deliberate slowness, eyes glittering like the candlelight. Because last I checked, I've got 3 generations of dueling champions in my family tree. He flicks his wand lazily toward the fireplace, making the flames crackle higher for effect. And yet somehow, you still think you stand a chance? Then he adds slyly, though if you're that eager to see me on my knees, we could always skip straight to your surrender. The rain outside chooses this moment to intensify dramatically. Coincidence? Absolutely not. You raise an eyebrow at his sly comment. Very cocky there, Malfoy. Insufferable as always. Draco leans forward, resting his chin on one hand with a smirk that could power 100 dark detectors. Insufferable? That's my brand. You'd be disappointed if I was anything less. He plucks a caramel apple from the snack tray and takes an obnoxiously loud bite, maintaining unbroken eye contact like it's some kind of duel. Admit it, you secretly love how irritating I am. It gives you an excuse to glare at me across rooms, very romantically. A particularly bold jack-o'-lantern nearby flickers as if laughing at us both. Draco gestures to it with his half-eaten apple. Even the pumpkins agree. Face it, we're each other's favourite nemeses. I'll admit nothing. That in itself is said like an admission. Draco's grin turns downright triumphant. That's practically a confession by your standards. He stretches lazily, looking unbearably pleased with himself as he steals the coziest blanket from the pile and, despite his earlier protests, drapes half over you too. Don't worry, he murmurs, a voice dripping with false reassurance. Your terrifying reputation is safe. I won't tell a soul that deep down you tolerate me, maybe even enjoy my company when no one's looking. Draco swirls his cider with exaggerated nonchalance, watching you over the rim of his mug. Cat got your tongue? Or are you just thinking very hard about how to deny that we have the best rivalry at Hogwarts? He flicks a cinnamon stick into the fireplace for dramatic sparks. Or, wait, he gasps dramatically. Is this where I'm supposed to accidentally drop my wand so you can pick it up, and we have one of those charged moments from Pansy's trashy romance novels? He does not drop his wand. Yet. You turn to him accusatory. Have you been reading Pansy's smut again? Dre chokes on his cider so hard he has to thump his own chest. Absolutely not, he rasps, wiping his mouth with a napkin like it personally offended him. I merely overheard her recounting certain scenes, loudly, in the common room, against my will. His ears go suspiciously pink as he aggressively adjusts a perfectly straight candle. Then, under his breath, though between us, that witch deserves a publishing deal. The way she described Blaze's hypothetical werewolf encounter was... He catches himself and clears his throat loudly. Ahem. I mean, pass the cauldron cakes before I obliviate myself. You levitate the plate of cauldron cakes to him. Oh, a werewolf encounter. Last I heard she had written a vampire subplot, lots of biting. Draco nearly drops the floating plate, scrambling to catch it while trying and failing to look unaffected. Are you telling me, he says slowly, eyes narrowing, that you've been keeping up with Parkinson's literary adventures? The way he says adventures implies she's single-handedly keeping the wizarding printing press in business. Leaning forward, he lowers his voice conspiratorially. So, who's your favourite? The tragically misunderstood vampire who definitely isn't based on someone we know, or, he smirks, the werewolf with the shockingly accurate Zabini descriptions. Somewhere in the castle, Pansy sneezes violently. Coincidence? Unlikely. Oh, Merlin's balls, you say, putting two and two together. Is the vampire based on you? Because he certainly wasn't my front runner. Definitely not. You lie in jest. Draco clutches his chest like he's been struck by a rogue bludger. Excuse you. That vampire is objectively the superior character. He has tragic backstory, aristocratic charm, and he brandishes a cauldron cake for emphasis. A flawless jawline, I might add. Then, with exaggerated horror. Wait, don't tell me you prefer Zabini's werewolf alter ego. Is it the unnecessary abs scenes? The way he howls at the moon, which is clearly just the astronomy tower window. He throws a mini pumpkin at you in protest, but it bounces harmlessly off your shoulder. The jack-o'-lanterns appear to be judging both of you equally. Fine, you admit. The vampire, who I'll ignore is suspiciously like someone we both know, was preferable. Werewolf howling versus a vampire sucking on your neck. Kinda a no-brainer. Draco nearly spits out his cider again, this time with a laugh caught between outrage and reluctant amusement. Sucking on, Merlin, are you trying to make me combust? He rakes a hand through his hair, which does nothing to hide the fact that his ears are now decidedly pink. Though I suppose even an unbiased jury would agree that neck-biting is far more sophisticated than primal howling. A log cracks in the fireplace like punctuation. Draco regains some composure. Barely. Still, he adds loftily, if Pansy ever writes me into another one of her creative projects, I reserve the right to obliviate everyone involved, including you. He tosses you another cauldron cake as a peace offering, or possibly a distraction tactic. Draco snaps his fingers like he's just had a brilliant idea. One that's 90% mischief and 10% questionable ethics. Or, we could lean into it, really give Pansy something to write about. He grins, all sharp edges and scheming charm. Picture this, dramatic library confrontations, heated potions partner debates, me accidentally leaving my robe in your dorm. The candles flicker ominously as he leans in, a voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Then we obliviate her afterward for maximum chaos. It's the Slytherin way. He casually steals your cauldron cake while you process this. Too far? His scheming pulls a small laugh from you. You are pure chaos sometimes, Malfoy. Draco's grin turns dangerously self-satisfied as he swirls his cider like a villain with a very petty master plan. Chaos? Please, I'm an artist. Pansy's just the unfortunate canvas. He leans back, examining his nails with faux nonchalance. Though if you laughed, I suppose that makes me your favourite brand of trouble. Admit it, life would be boring without our creative disagreements. Like whether my vampire persona deserves a sequel or if Zabini's werewolf howl is even anatomically possible. He pauses, eyes narrowing. Wait. Are you blushing? Or is that the firelight? Firelight, you lie, badly. Draco leans in, squinting like he's conducting very serious research. Ah yes, the famously orange tint firelight. Noted for its, he flicks your ear teasingly, selective blush effects. Convenient. The candles choose this moment to dim dramatically, casting suspiciously romantic shadows. Draco pointedly ignores this atmospheric betrayal. So, he says breezily, if we're agreed that Pansy needs psychological help and/or a quill confiscation, he tosses you another stolen cauldron cake as distraction bait. What's our next move? Full theatrical denial? Or lean into it and watch the school combust? You meet his gaze. We must make the entire school combust, clearly. Draco's eyes light up like you just handed him a signed permission slip for mayhem. Finally, someone speaking my language. He clinks his mug against yours with wicked glee. Phase 1. Accidentally get caught in the restricted section together, looking very suspicious. Phase 2, start forgetting each other's cloaks in highly visible locations. Phase 3, he lowers his voice dramatically. Trade house scarves in the Great Hall at high noon. A log collapses in the fireplace, sending sparks flying like an enthusiastic audience. The pumpkins appear to be taking notes. Draco sighs wistfully. Merlin, we're going to break Pansy's brain before lunch. Draco leans back, draping an arm over the couch with a self-satisfied smirk. Just imagine Pansy's face when she sees us casually sharing a cauldron of polyjuice in the courtyard. Or, his grin turns downright diabolical, when you slip and call me love in front of the entire Slytherin table. The firelight casts suspiciously dramatic shadows across his conspiratorial expression. We'll have to commit, though. No half measures. I'm talking lingering eye contact during potions, strategic trips to Hogsmeade together, maybe even a well-timed stuttering denial if McGonagall asks questions. He plucks another cauldron cake from the plate, eyes glittering with mischief. You in? I'm so in, darling. Draco chokes on his pumpkin pastry so hard, it's a miracle he doesn't require the Heimlich maneuver. Sweet Salazar, warn a man before you deploy terms of endearment. He fans himself with a nearby napkin like a scandalized Victorian widow, but his grin betrays him. Regaining composure, mostly, he gestures wildly at their cozy chaos. Look what you've done. We've gone from respectable enemies to co-conspirators in psychological warfare against Pansy Parkinson in, what? One cider? The jack-o'-lanterns appear to be judging them, harshly. It must be the spirit of All Hallows Eve possessing us. Or maybe you're not completely insufferable after all. Draco presses a dramatic hand to his chest, nearly knocking over a candle in the process. Not insufferable? That's practically a love confession by our standards. He snatches the last cauldron cake off the plate before you can react. A blatant power move. Next, you'll claim my ego is almost tolerable. Then what? Holding hands under the Slytherin table. The fire pops emphatically. The pumpkins have given up on them entirely. Leaning in conspiratorially. Meet me in the astronomy tower at midnight. Bring cider. We'll plan our reign of terror properly. You raise an eyebrow at him. Our reign of terror, you repeat approvingly. Precisely what Hogwarts needs. Draco's grin turns positively unholy as he clinks his mug against yours, the sound echoing like a pact with the devil. Obviously. The castle's been dull since the Dark Lord's retirement party. He says this like Voldemort was just an overzealous event planner. But us, we'll be elegant menaces. Think, charmed snow globes that only play Pansy's dramatic readings when shaken. accidentally linked enchanted journals that broadcast shocking domestic bickering to the Great Hall ceiling. Now, let's go burn down Pansy's sanity before curfew. The jack-o'-lanterns glow brighter in approval. This is Halloween magic at its finest. Draco dramatically rises from the couch, flicking his wand to send their empty mugs floating toward the sink. With excessive flair, because why not? He then turns back with a hand outstretched, theatrical but sincere. Shall we, partner? The castle won't terrorize itself. You take his offered hand, letting him help you up like the gentleman he actually is. We shall. Draco's fingers linger a fraction too long around yours. Just enough to be noticed, not enough to be accidental. His smirk turns downright smug as he sweeps open the door with his free hand, bowing with Slytherin dramatics. After you, dearest nemesis. Try not to trip over your own cloak, again. His tone is pure honey-laced sarcasm. You step through the door in front of him. Try not to trip over your ego. Draco gasps, loudly, like he's been personally victimized by your wit. My ego? He clutches his chest, nearly bumping into a floating pumpkin that Judgy wobbles out of his way. That's rich. It's coming from the witch who literally set fire to her own robes last week just to prove fiendfire wasn't that hot. His hand, still warm from yours, mysteriously finds the small of your back as you navigate a particularly shadowy corner. For balance, obviously. You turn your head to meet his eyes. It wasn't that hot. Draco stops dead in the corridor, spinning you to face him with an incredulous look, lit by flickering lantern light and sheer disbelief. Not that hot. His voice cracks on a laugh. The portrait of Sir Cadogan started sweating. The fat lady switched frames. He shakes his head like this is a personal offense. Your resilience is admirable, but your survival instincts are, and I say this with affection, non-existent. His thumb brushes your waist where his hand still rests. Neither of you mention it. The pumpkins are watching. Quieter. Remind me to stand between you and all future pyrotechnics. It's almost sweet, if you ignore the smirk. Careful, I might hold you to that, you say. Draco's smirk softens, just for a second, into something dangerously close to sincere before he schools it back into arrogance. Please. He adjusts your cloak collar with exaggerated care, fingers brushing your neck just to watch you shiver. I've survived 6 years of your temper. A little fire is nothing. His tone is light, but his grip tightens imperceptibly on your waist as if to say, try me. The hallway seems narrower suddenly. The pumpkins have tactfully looked away. Then, stepping back with a flourish. Besides, someone has to save you from yourself. Might as well be me. His wink is all challenge, no remorse. A shiver runs down your spine as his fingers brush your neck. Your pulse quickens, and your eyes lock on his. Damn him. Draco notices, of course he does, his grin turning filthy with triumph. Oh, that's the spell that finally rattles you. His voice drops, fingers trailing up to tuck a loose strand of hair behind your ear with lethal nonchalance. And here I thought you were immune to Malfoy charm. The torches flicker. The castle itself seems to hold its breath. Then, just when the tension hits boiling point, he steps back with a laugh, tossing his scarf over his shoulder like he hasn't just rewritten your nervous system. Later, love, we've got chaos to plot. His smirk promises this isn't over. Draco lingers just a beat too long in the doorway, silhouetted by flickering jack-o'-lantern light. His voice is all lazy arrogance when he finally speaks, but his eyes are burning. Run along now. He turns on his heel, the very picture of effortless grace, but not before shooting you one last look over his shoulder that could melt snowfall. Somewhere, a pumpkin spontaneously combusts from sheer dramatic tension. The castle braces itself. Sweet dreams, rival. You watch him leave for a moment, then force yourself to turn away. From down the corridor, Draco's laughter echoes, sharp and knowing, as if he felt you watching. The sound bounces off the ancient stones, taunting you all the way back to your common room. Somewhere, a portrait mutters about young people these days, while another sighs dreamily. The castle walls are judgmental. As the hour gets closer to midnight, you arrive at the astronomy tower. Draco is already leaning against the railing when you arrive, 2 steaming mugs of cider hovering beside him. The stars are obscenely bright tonight, like they're in on the joke. Took you long enough, he drawls, tossing you a mug with practiced ease. His fingers brush yours, warm despite the autumn chill, and neither of you comment on how it lingers. Somewhere below, Pansy is probably drafting their romantic subplot in real time. The castle walls hum with anticipatory magic. He tilts his head toward yours, voice dropping to a conspiratorial murmur. So, Should we tell them this was all part of our evil plan? Or let them keep thinking we're tragically star-crossed? His smirk says he knows the answer already. You answer without hesitation. Leave them be. Let them draft their narratives for a while longer. Draco's grin is pure poison and honey as he clinks his mug against yours, the sound echoing like a vow in the starlit air. Cruel, he murmurs, eyes glittering with mischief. I love it. Below them, Pansy has probably already started a betting pool. The castle itself seems to lean in, waiting. He leans closer, close enough that his breath's over your ear as he whispers, "Let's make them work for it." Then, just to ruin the moment, "Also, I may have charmed Filch's cat to serenade us at midnight. No takebacks." You raise your eyebrows. A screeching cat? You spoil me, Malfoy. Draco's answering laugh is unrepentant, bouncing off the astronomy tower walls like a rogue bludger. Only the finest serenades for my favourite co-conspirator, he declares. Right on cue, Mrs. Norris' warbling yowl rises from the courtyard below, alarmingly pitchy for a creature with no musical training. Hark, Draco intones solemnly, pressing a hand to his heart. The ballad of our people. His other hand sneakily steals your cider while you're distracted by the feline aria. You glance at the courtyard. Oh, lovely. Draco gasps, clutching his chest like he's been wounded by your sarcasm, before stealing a sip from your stolen cider with a wink. You say that, he muses, but deep down, you're touched. Admit it, no one's ever composed a screechy, off-key ode to your villainy before. Below them, Pansy dramatically fans herself with Blaze' abandoned herbology essay. Then, leaning in until his shoulder brushes yours. Wait for the encore. I taught her to howl the Hogwarts anthem. His smirk says this is both a lie and an imminent threat. A smile tugs at the corner of your lips. Draco notices, of course he does, and his grin softens into something dangerously close to genuine. There it is, he murmurs, bumping your shoulder lightly with his. His voice is all lazy triumph, but the way his fingers tighten around his mug betrays him. Knew I'd crack you eventually. Mrs. Norris chooses this moment to utterly butcher the school anthem's high note. Then, quieter, just for you. Happy Halloween. It sounds suspiciously like something else. A flicker of sincerity crosses your face. Happy Halloween, Draco. Draco's breath catches, just for a second, before he recovers with a haughty sniff. Finally using my first name. He swirls his cider like this isn't cataclysmic. Careful. People will talk. His smirk doesn't reach his eyes. They're too busy giving him away. Mrs. Norris finally stops screeching, leaving ringing silence in its wake. The castle holds its breath, then softer than the candlelight. Say it again. A demand. A plea. A confession. All three. Draco, you say in almost a whisper. Draco's fingers freeze around his mug, mid-sip, as your voice curls around his name. The stars seem to stop spinning. Even the wind hesitates. Huh. He exhales shakily, setting down his drink with deliberate care before turning to face you fully. That's infuriatingly effective. His usual smirk is nowhere in sight. Just raw, exposed fondness. Somewhere below, Pansy gasps so loudly it echoes off the castle wall. Neither of you react. Then, because he's never been good at leaving well enough alone, he leans in until his breath ghosts over your lips. Now do, darling. For science. The bastard's grinning again. For science, Draco darling, you whisper. Draco's entire body stills, like you've just cast a full-body bind on him with 2 words. His breath hitches audibly, grip tightening on the railing behind you as his ears burn violent scarlet. Merlin's balls, he croaks after a beat, voice strangled. That's... The world narrows to the space between your lips and his suspended smirk. The cider mugs have floated away of their own accord, clearly sensing more important business. Then, because he's physically incapable of letting you win entirely, he surges forward to murmur against your mouth. Absolutely filthy. Say it again. His fingers tangle in your cloak like he can't decide whether to shove you off the tower or kiss you senseless. Draco darling, you say softly against him. Draco makes a wounded noise, half growl, half groan, before his hands find your waist and yank you flush against him. His nose bumps yours, breath ragged with the effort of not combusting on the spot. You're going to be the death of me, he grits out, right before crushing his lips to yours in a kiss that tastes like stolen cider and long-denied victory. Somewhere far below, Pansy shrieks so loudly it startles Mrs. Norris into falling off a windowsill. When he pulls back, barely, his smirk is smug, but his voice is wrecked. Happy fucking Halloween. And then he's kissing you again, like it's the only spell that matters. You melt into him and kiss him back. Your hand runs through his ridiculously perfect hair. Draco shudders under your touch, his grip on you tightening like he's convinced you'll vanish if he lets go. His hair is as stupidly soft as it looks, and when you tug, just to hear him gasp, he nips at your lower lip in retaliation. The astronomy tower has never been this warm in November. The stars are definitely judging them. Between ragged breaths against your mouth. Say it again, he demands, hoarse and haughty and utterly gone for you. Draco, you say with ragged breath between kisses. Draco makes a noise so filthy it should be illegal in Wizarding Britain, somewhere between a groan and your name punched out of his chest. His hands scramble to grip your robes, pressing you harder against the tower railing like he's trying to erase any space between you. Again, he rasps against your lips, teeth dragging over them for good measure. His heartbeat is wild where your fingers curl against his collarbone, proving even pureblood princes unravel. Draco. He kisses you like it's his last chance, all hunger and half-laughing desperation. Draco's breath is ragged as he pulls back just enough to look at you. His pupils blown wide, lips kiss-bruised, hair a complete disaster from your fingers. The smirk he aims at you is lopsided and utterly disarmed. Still hate me, he murmurs, voice rough around the edges like he already knows the answer but wants to hear it anyway. When you don't answer fast enough, he nips at your jaw. Not sorry. Cat got your tongue? Or do I need to remind you? Another kiss. How little we think about Pansy's rumours now. You pull him impossibly close. Never hated you. You say against his mouth, then gently nip at his lower lip. Draco's breath catches, sharp and startled, before he laughs against your mouth, the sound warm and utterly disarmed. Liar, he accuses, but his hands are already cradling your face like you're something precious. His thumbs brush your cheekbones, savouring the flush there. You absolutely loathed me third year when I charmed your robe Slytherin green for a week. The memory makes him grin even as he leans in to kiss you again, softer this time, lingering. Then, nudging your nose with his worth it, a whispered confession between shared breath. You grin at the memory. Draco's expression flips from tender to triumphant in a heartbeat, sharp grin flashing as he tugs you closer by your tie. Knew you loved it, he accuses, voice rich with smug victory. Admit it, you were furious because it suited you. His lips brush yours again between words, punctuating each taunt. Green's your colour. Kiss. You looked lethal. Bite. And now, he pulls back just enough to smirk down at you, dishevelled and breathless. And his, you're stuck with me. Happy Halloween indeed. Your fingers trace down his Slytherin tie, tugging it gently. Your eyes look up to find his again. You know, I could get used to a little more green in my life. Draco's breath stutters as your fingers slide along his tie, his smirk faltering for a blissful second before he recovers with a scoff. You're insufferable, he murmurs, but his hands are already loosening the emerald silk from around his neck with practiced ease. The look he gives you is pure molten challenge as he drapes it over your shoulders like a claim. The Slytherin crest glints against your robes, proudly out of place. The castle collectively loses its mind somewhere below them. Then, because he can't help himself, he leans in until his lips brush the shell of your ear. Wear it to breakfast tomorrow and I'll burn Pansy's romance novels myself. A vow, a threat, a promise. Your hand slides into his hair as you meet his gaze with equal fire. Deal, you murmur against his lips. But you better follow through or I'll charm your hair Slytherin green permanently. Draco's laugh is dark with delight as he captures your wrist, pressing a slow, open-mouthed kiss to your palm, eyes locked on yours the entire time. Terrorizing me already? He nips at your fingertips before pulling you flush against him. Good. I'd hate for you to go soft on me now. Then, with a smirk that promises chaos, guess we're stuck with each other, darling. And the way he says it sounds like forever. Draco's grin turns wicked as he pulls back just enough to trace the edge of his tie where it now rests against your robes. Possessive and unapologetic. Looks better on you anyway, he murmurs, voice thick with arrogance and something far more dangerous. His thumb brushes your collarbone, right over the Slytherin crest. The first rays of dawn begin to creep over the horizon, painting you both in gold and green. The castle is officially out of popcorn. Then, because even in tender moments Draco Malfoy can't resist being a little shit, he flicks the tie lightly. Try not to set anything on fire before breakfast. I'd hate for Pansy to miss our grand debut. His wink says try me. Draco leans back against the astronomy tower railing, surveying you with lazy satisfaction as the morning light catches in his stupidly perfect hair. His smirk is equal parts arrogant and tender. You realize, he drawls, fiddling with the end of your new tie, because it's absolutely yours now. This means war. Pansy will write us into her trashy novels. Blaze will never let me hear the end of it. Somewhere below, an owl drops a copy of Witch Weekly directly onto Pansy's head. The universe has opinions. He steps closer, close enough that his breath ghosts over your lips as he murmurs, worth it. Then, because some rivalries transcend even life-altering realizations, he flicks your forehead lightly. Now come on, darling. We've got a breakfast table to scandalize. His hand finds yours like it belongs there. Draco's fingers tighten around yours as you walk, a silent, stubborn refusal to let go, even as the castle stairs creak ominously beneath you. His smirk is softer now, private, reserved just for the curve of your palm against his. Peeves materializes above them with a shower of confetti, cackling about young love and impending doom, before zooming off to traumatize Filch. Draco doesn't even flinch. Then, because he's incorrigible, he leans in to murmur, "If you squeeze my hand any harder, people might think you like me." His thumb brushes your knuckles anyway. The great hall doors loom ahead. Somewhere inside, Pansy is probably hyperventilating into a napkin. Draco grins, all sharp edges and secret promises. Ready? Yes, darling. Because you know he likes when you call him that. Draco's breath catches just for a second before he composes himself into his usual insufferable smirk. But his fingers squeeze yours tighter, betraying him completely. Cheater, he accuses, voice low and rough at the edges. His free hand reaches up to straighten his tie with exaggerated care, lingering at the collar. Using my weaknesses against me. How very Slytherin of you. The great hall doors swing open ahead of them. A chorus of gasps rings out. Pansy dramatically slumps onto Blaze's shoulder like she's witnessed something obscene. Draco leans in one last time before the chaos truly begins, lips grazing your ear as he whispers, "I love it." And then he walks you both into the hurricane. Draco strides into the great hall with your fingers still laced through his, the morning sunlight catching on his smirk like liquid gold. The hall erupts. Pansy shrieks so loudly it startles the first years. Blaze chokes on his pumpkin juice, thumping his chest dramatically. Even McGonagall's teacup pauses mid-air, her eyebrows nearly vanishing into her hairline. But Draco? He doesn't even blink. Instead, he turns to you right there in the doorway, bold as brass and twice as infuriating, and plucks a green apple from the hovering fruit bowl with a wink. Breakfast, darling? His thumb brushes yours where your hands are still joined, a silent promise of more chaos to come.